if we secured our institutions and allowed more good guys with the guns. You can't take them away from the good guys and give them to the bad. The bad guys will always get the guns.
Cenk.
So, Jennifer, Australia just had its first shooting in 30 years, whereas we have had mass shootings at a rate of more than one a day. That is a massive difference.
In this moment, Cenk Uygur, the host of The Young Turks, steps onto the Alex Michelson show on CNN. He's facing off against MAGAP pundit Jennifer Horn, diving into one of the most pressing crises in the country: guns, gun violence, and the laws, or lack thereof, that surround them. It's a hot-button issue, one that exposes deep divides in our society. And it's more than talking points. It's life and death. So let's watch this clip closely. Listen, not just to what's being said, but to the truths that emerge in the tension between fear, ideology, and evidence. I'll share my take alongside it, and I know you have your perspective too. Drop your thoughts in the comments when we're done, because real dialogue is how democracy works. If you believe the future of America depends on facts over fear, on solutions over slogans, then hit that subscribe button. Together, we can make this space a stronghold for truth and democracy.
We were just talking about this story out of Australia, the gun laws there, that, they have one shooting and then all of a sudden they change all the gun laws. Let's put up on the screen some of the gun laws that they are now thinking about getting rid of or changing. Speed up National Firearms Registry, enhance intelligence and background checks, limit number of guns a person can own, limit types of guns and modification. Meanwhile, we seem to have a mass shooting every other day. Background checks are at 90% approval rating. We haven't been able to pass that in a decade.
Yeah. So, first of all, there's something fundamentally broken about our government. So we can't pass almost anything that's popular. So in the case of gun control, it's actually not every other day. There's a mass shooting more than once a day. So far, I believe we've got 394 mass shootings this year alone, 75 school shootings this year alone. We're playing Russian roulette with our lives and our kids' lives. And it's remarkable that we're not doing anything about it, especially in a democracy. So to give you a sense of how popular some of these laws are, universal background checks are at 86%. Great majority of Republicans, great majority of gun owners want them. 80% for red flag laws. But yet we can't pass the bare minimum, and there's two reasons for that. One is the same as almost every the reason why every law doesn't pass, which is money in politics.
Right.
So the gun lobby totally owns the Republican Party, and they've got a death lock on them, if you will. And then the second reason is there is 20% of this country, which is a significant portion of the Republican Party, real voters who are adamant about this, and they will not let it go. It is
a voting issue for them. It is the one issue that they will vote on. Just like immigration is a voting issue for some people, healthcare is a voting issue for some people. Jennifer, there's a lot of issues that people talk about and complain about, but there aren't that many issues that are voting. This is the one thing.
Yeah,
and it is that way.
And I'd add actually one more thing to your list about why you can't get gun laws, and that is the Constitution, that pesky little thing, the Constitution. The Second Amendment gives us the right to have and bear arms. And I will tell you this, nobody wants to see these mass shootings, but if you need any instruction as to why gun laws don't work, look at Australia today. They have all the gun laws in the world, and yet the bad guys still get the guns. What could have stopped that situation is a well-armed police force. The good guy who actually, we saw this guy who was a hero who went in and stopped the shooter. We need more of that in this country. Brown University may not be a story this week if indeed we had if we secured our institutions and allowed more good guys with the guns. You can't take them away from the good guys and give them to the bad. The bad guys will always get the guns.
Cenk.
So, Jennifer, Australia just had its first shooting in 30 years, whereas we have had mass shootings at a rate of more than one a day. That is a massive difference. That 100% proves that gun control works. And without gun control, we have massive amount of gun homicides, suicides. About 60,000 people a year die every year. So, they say freedom isn't free. Okay, but this price is a very high price to pay. 60,000 Americans dying every year through gun violence, when in countries like Japan and Australia, it almost never happens, decade after decade after decade. And look, the Second Amendment says whereas a militia is necessary. So we have no militia here. It definitely does not apply. I know that I'm Not going to win that argument with the Supreme Court because they're right-wingers, and I don't believe that they're interpreting it correctly at all. No, it's plain English. It's absolutely plain English.
How do you respond to that? The statistics that we have more shootings here in America because we have a lot more guns.
We have a lot more shootings in California, and California has very tight gun control compared to other states around the country. Look, my point is that it would be worse without the good guys armed to protect themselves, because if we want to start talking about all of the things that people could do wrong, look at the stories that we had today. You've had attacks with cars. You've had attacks. We had a terror plot that was just broken up with IEDs. What are you going to start doing? You cannot outlaw everything. What we have to do is protect ourselves. And protecting ourselves means that we have to make sure that good guys, people like you, people like me, people like Alex, can protect our home and can protect our families by having a firearm there for home.
Jennifer Horn lays out the full spectrum of pro-gun talking points, and it's important to hear them, not to normalize them, but to understand the logic the other side clings to. Let's be real for a moment. The idea of outlawing guns entirely in America? It sounds utopian. Beautiful on paper, but almost impossible in practice, especially as far-right authoritarian currents rise and seize influence. This isn't just theory. It's reality shaping what's politically feasible. Even someone who doesn't own guns, who doesn't live in that world, can see the tension. I get it. There are responsible gun owners, people who respect their weapons, lock them up, and use them safely. Family, hunters, neighbors. You don't lie awake worrying about them. They follow the rules. They follow the law. But here's the tell. The problem isn't just the people who handle guns responsibly. The problem is the systems that let the wrong people access them, and the cultural insistence that regulation is somehow an attack on freedom. Democracy is tested not by the people who follow the rules, but by how we protect everyone from harm while respecting rights. Even in this acknowledgement of responsibility, we see a moral contradiction. Admiration for law-abiding owners cannot excuse a society that allows mass shootings to persist. That tension between individual freedom and collective safety is exactly where democratic accountability should intervene.
Home security.
Look, we're in a vicious cycle here because the more that there's gun shootings, the more people want to protect themselves by having more guns.
And every time we have a shooting, gun sales go up.
Exactly.
And
the gun lobby
makes a lot of money.
The gun lobby loves shootings. Okay, they love when bad guys get guns. That's why they're in favor of cop killer bullets. They're in favor of not allowing guns where you could actually have biometric readings.
But is there not some truth to what Jennifer is saying, that in that situation, wouldn't you have wanted a good guy to have a gun and take that guy out faster?
Well, first of all, we did have a good guy there, at Ahmed Al-Ahmed, and he did not have a gun, and he was shot twice, and he still rushed the guy and took his weapon away from him, which was amazing and miraculous. But no, the problem is whenever there's a gun in the house, you're statistically more likely to get harmed. So through suicide, through accidents, through mistakes, you think you're safer, but you're actually not. But the more the guns there are, I get it. I get why people feel so nervous and uneasy. Well, if everybody else is armed, I'm the only one that's unarmed. It's a problem. But guys, we're living in this like post-apocalyptic world where now people have started telling me, I'm not coming to America anymore. It's a shooting gallery. It's insane. It's going to America is like taking your life into your hands. The rest of the world cannot believe that we have more than one mass shooting per day on average. And we've had that for decades. Think about the 30 years where there was no mass shootings in Australia. Whereas we have had over 300 mass shootings every year. You do the math on that, and we're looking at about, 9,000 shootings more? How many more dead? Tens and tens of thousands. They have graveyards filled with dead bodies because of lack of gun control in this country. It's not the right direction, and every country has proven that.
To wrap up something on the more fun side, favorite Rob Reiner movie?
Oh, gosh. Stand By Me.
It's impossible because they're all so great, but I watched Princess Bride again with my kids the other day. God, I love that movie. And so I'm going to go Princess Bride.
Is it weird to say Misery 2 for an honorable mention? Because I loved it.
I think in this business, we love misery. All of us do in the political business. Jennifer, Cenk, thank you. A respectful conversation and one that a lot of people are having right now. We really appreciate it.
There is an enormous amount that we could do in terms of common sense gun reform in this country, steps that save lives without anyone's rights being completely stripped away. This isn't about taking everyone's guns. It's about creating a system where safety, responsibility, and evidence guide the rules. We can implement mental health checks, universal background screenings, secure storage requirements, and other practical regulations that the majority of Americans, including responsible gun owners, already support. These aren't radical ideas. These are common sense policies that would reduce deaths, prevent tragedies, and still respect the Second Amendment. Think about cars for a second. Cars kill people every year, but we regulate them. You need a driver's license. You're required to wear a seatbelt. Cars are inspected for safety. There are rules, laws, and accountability. Guns, on the other hand, are specifically designed to inflict lethal harm. A handgun doesn't make coffee. It doesn't build a house. It is a weapon, and treating it like any ordinary object is an invitation for disaster. And yet, some cling to an extreme, almost magical reading of the Second Amendment, as if it allows all arms of any kind, from AR-15s to RPGs, even bazookas. That is not interpretation. That is ideology overriding reality. That is a system where convenience and rhetoric are prioritized over human life. And the consequences are visible all around us. Mass shootings in schools, churches, workplaces, and neighborhoods. The bloodshed is staggering, and society has, tragically, become numb to it. Thoughts and prayers alone cannot stop the next tragedy. Here's the point. This is not a black and white issue. It is not a choice between banning every firearm or allowing anyone unlimited access. There is a vast actionable middle ground, policies rooted in logic, evidence, and morality. Lessons from other countries, like Australia, show us that gun violence can be dramatically reduced when regulations are thoughtful, enforced, and guided by data. Even if we don't replicate their exact model, the principle is clear. Reduce access for dangerous actors, protect the vulnerable, and empower society to prevent tragedy before it strikes. This is where democracy matters most. Political polarization, systemic failures, and stochastic terrorism complicate the issue, yes, but they do not absolve us from acting. Evidence-based policies exist. We know what works, and yet, political inertia and ideological stubbornness keep us from implementing solutions that could save tens of thousands of lives every year. The choice is ours: action or acceptance of the status quo. Every time we fail to act, the cost is real, measurable, and horrifying. Mass shootings continue at a pace that shocks the rest of the world, more than one per day on average. And yet, political excuses, misinformation, and lobbying dollars prevent progress. This is the moment to break that cycle, to insist that democracy serve its highest purpose, protecting the people, holding leaders accountable, and ensuring that safety and life are not negotiable. Pause. This is not just a debate. It is a moral imperative. It is a call to action. We can start with what is measurable, what is reasonable, what saves lives, and build from there. Every incremental reform is a victory for evidence, for reason, and for the principles of democracy itself. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a conversation, not just a discussion. Let's demand accountability, pursue solutions, and ensure that our society values human life above ideology, money, or political theater. Because democracy only works when we participate, insist on facts, and act.